Welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we interview the biggest and most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, and capital raisers in the world to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets to help you conquer yourself, your life, your marriage, and use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle so that you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and contribution. If what you're after is having it all, if what you desire is becoming the best version you can be across all areas, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, sentimentally, and financially, you've come to the right place. We will bring to you the best of the best real estate entrepreneurs who will give you the insights, knowledge, experience, and skills so that you can go out and crush it financially and across all areas of your life. Grab pencil and paper, sit back, enjoy, and you are welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. Hello, Modern Kings and Queens. Welcome to another episode of the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we interview some of the most successful real estate investors out there to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets for you to conquer yourself, your life, your marriage, and use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle so that you can achieve your financial freedom and have more success, happiness, and fulfillment in your life. So I'm super excited today. I have an incredible guest with me. But before I introduce this modern king to you, though, I just want to ask all of you for a favor. I want to ask you that if you get something out of this interview, if you get some type of value and insight, if you learn a new skill, maybe you gain some cool information, or you get some motivation or inspiration to go out, take some action, and keep on moving forward towards your goals, I want to ask you to please share this episode. Share with some of your friends, share with someone you think this might impact, share with someone you think is interested in real estate, and just share it on your social media, on your Facebook page, on your wall, on your stories, or whatever, and help us share this message and help other people. And to all of you who take a couple of seconds to do that, I send you a big thanks and a big hug, and I say thank you. And today I have Ben Lovro. Lovro, is that right, man?
Yeah, man. Right? Ben Lovro.
All right. Ben Lovro with me. He's a real estate entrepreneur, author, motivational speaker, and team building expert who has made a name for himself as a thought leader in the industry. And as founder of the Investor Syndicate, which is a mastermind, Ben has created a real estate learning community for entrepreneurs who are looking to scale their businesses, their real estate businesses. Despite facing difficult challenges in the past and serving 5 years in prison, Ben didn't let those setbacks define him. Instead, he used them to fuel himself and turn his story around and help others break through limiting beliefs in the process. And over the past few years, Ben has built a successful real estate investing business, rental portfolio, and mastermind. And his unique investment system, which focuses on partnering with investors at all levels, has helped countless people launch and grow a successful real estate investing business. So, Ben, I'm super excited to dive into all of those things that I mentioned right now, man, in your bio, and super excited to have you. Thank you very much for being here, and you're welcome to the show.
Alex, I appreciate it, my brother. It is an honor to be able to come on, to network, to share some gems with your audience, man. And most importantly, inspire others to step into their greatest self. So excited to be here, my bro.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Actually, the first thing that I do with my guest is I ask them to walk us through their real estate investing journey in 75 seconds or less, man. So go ahead and get started when you feel like.
Yeah, man. So 2014, I was released from prison. Spent 5.5 years behind bars. Long story short, this was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's where God got a hold of my heart and transformed my life from the inside out. So I stepped outside of those walls without really any direction, right? I didn't have a whole lot of like real world skill sets or education. But what I did have was drive. I had a tenacity to commit to my journey and do whatever it took to get in the game. Shortly thereafter, I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And at that moment, I knew that real estate was the vehicle. I didn't know how I was going to get in the game, but I knew that I was going to commit to it with every ounce of my being. And from that point forward, man, started failing forward, started reading, learning, implementing. First property I ever bought, it was a quadplex out of state. A mentor of mine early in the journey introduced me to an auction platform, right? So I bought this REO property. For a newer investor to invest out of state, that's high risk and probably not the best place for a newer person to get started, right? But that's the first thing I was introduced to. I had a high risk tolerance. So with money that I had saved up, working my tail off in the restaurant for 2 years, I purchased this REO property. It was an eight month process where I held the asset and I was just trying to flip it, right? Trying to resell it and pull out a little bit of equity. Well, in that process, I discovered a vehicle called wholesaling, right? Wholesaling real
Nice.
estate, which in its simplest form, the art of finding discounted or off-market properties, locking them up and aligning them with a cash buyer or equity partner, right? And I learned very quickly that instead of tying all of my hard-earned capital in an asset, right, and having to wait to try to sell it or refinance, that I could be the source of the deal, where I could lock a contract up directly with a homeowner or another investor, or whatever the case might be. And from that point on, the exit strategy was all mine, right? I could figure out if I wanted to keep it, if I wanted to flip it, if I wanted to sell the contract or wholesale it. And I believe this is the best place for a newer investor to get in the game, because you see the entire transaction process from beginning to end, right? You see the marketing, the sales, contract coordination, working with attorneys, cash buyers, and everything, right? So to build a foundation, you have to excavate and dig deep, right? And what better place to start than seeing the entire process through?
Awesome, man. Well, would it be what's this word that I'm looking for? Would it be, how do you say it when something is like, hello, morning kings and queens. At my company, Millionaire Network Automation, we believe in the power of networking. We believe that in real estate, your net worth is your network. This is why we help real estate investors raise capital by connecting them with their ideal investors and helping them build a massive network of their ideal investors in less than 30 days and with only 4 hours of work per week. If you're interested in this, click the link below in the description of this podcast to learn how you can propel your growth with a reliable system that will consistently help you connect with your ideal investors, build trust, add value, get your investors to promote you and put you in front of more of their investor friends, and raise more capital faster and in a much more effortless way so that you can achieve your financial freedom and still have the time and the energy to pour into every single other area of your life. So go watch the training, and you're going to have the opportunity to book a call to talk about how you can get this 100% done for you system implemented in the next 5 days. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later, and enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye. Not appropriate. Would it be inappropriate to like ask why you went to jail, man?
Yeah, man. So I was a knucklehead kid, made some very poor decisions, bro. And me and my buddies had a wise idea of holding up the dope man, right? We wanted to hold up the dope man. And so the two guys, both of my buddies, I was the driver, right? They both got down, went to go hold him up and try to take his sack, and things popped off and the guy got shot.
Damn, that's crazy, man. And you spent 5 years in it. It must have felt disorienting, right? Like you because you get like frozen in time, and then you come out, and then all these things have changed. People have grown. Other people have, started a business, or everything changes, man. Right? And you feel a little bit disoriented, I guess. So you got out? Did you get out? And were you like I think you mentioned you felt a little bit lost, right? Like with no direction. So can you walk me through that story, man? Because I have a family member, and I'm gonna send him this interview. He's actually my stepdad, man, and this is the first time that I've ever talked about this in recording. But he's actually my stepdad, and he's actually going to jail, right? And he's going to spend a lot of time, maybe 5 or more years. And I'm going to send this to him, man. And because he's gonna go in there, and then he's gonna get out, and he's going to feel disoriented. I have a daughter. No, not a daughter. My sister. She's 1, so she's gonna miss all of her growing up and everything. And he's pretty down about it, obviously, like anybody would be. So you got out. You felt disoriented. You felt a little bit lost, with no direction. So could you walk me through the transitioning phase, and how is it that you were able to get yourself up together in order for you to keep on going and get to where you are right now?
Yeah, man. So I'll say one of the most important pieces of that equation, man, is I had a good support system with my family, right? My auntie and uncle live out here in Columbia, South Carolina, and they offered to help me relocate, right? So I grew up in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which kind of like the wild, wild west, right? Lots of drugs and gangs and just not good stuff. Most of my friends that stayed in New Mexico they're either doing the same exact things they were when I went in
Yeah.
10 years ago plus, or, jails, institutions, death, right? Just sad stuff.
Mhm.
But I relocated, right? I changed environments and I had a positive support system. Now, you can't run away from your problems because your problems will always follow you. Absolutely, right? But by placing yourself in a new environment, just like a seed being placed in soil, right? You need fertile soil in order for that seed to fully grow into its potential, right? So I had a stable place to move out where I could start off on a new page. Number two, man, is faith. I had my faith, right? God, like I said, transformed my life from the inside out. And I knew that upon getting released, it wouldn't be easy, but
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to commit to my vision. I didn't know exactly what it would look like, but I was going to put my head down. I was going to put in the work. And I had this thing in my mind that I have to work twice as hard as the person next to me, right?
Mhm.
I know now that working smarter and working harder are two different things.
For
But in
sure.
the beginning, man, I thought I had to outwork everyone, right? So I came out swinging, bro, and I was motivated, and I was going all in. And the first place that I committed that effort to was at the restaurant, right? Got a job at a restaurant, waiting tables, and so I started working every single day, working, saving, because I thought I had to outwork, right?
Nice. So, man, could you describe to me what you mean by when you say that, well, going to jail was one of the best things that ever happened to you, and that in there God transformed your life from the inside out? Could you help me understand a little bit that a little bit more?
Yeah. So when I went in, I I didn't have a whole lot of purpose for my life. I didn't really have an understanding of who Jesus Christ was.
Mhm.
Um, I was just a lost kid, right? Who didn't really have an identity, who made a string of poor decisions. I had a decent upbringing, right? Grew up middle class home. I was an athlete through high school. I just started running around with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
Um, Bro, that place, hitting rock bottom and having no place to look but up, right? It's like I was an empty vessel. I was an empty cup, right? Where I realized I messed up real bad, right? A knucklehead kid. And I started to reflect on all of my life and all of my past and all of the decisions that I had made that got me to this point. And I realized that the rest of my story was not yet written, right? I realized that I had a second chance to recreate my life, to turn the next chapter in my narrative and flip it into something much more positive, right?
Yeah, that's
So
empowering.
it was in that place, man. It was in that place of darkness, of solitude, of lockdown that God literally got a hold of my heart, right? And then just to put it a little bit deeper, man, um, I would wake up, and look around the pod, and you got guys tatted from head to toe, right? Tatted head to
Mhm.
toe. And a lot of these guys that are passing around rigs, passing around this one needle around an entire pod,
That's
sharing with
crazy,
like
man.
20 different people, right? And very quickly you see stuff like that, and you're like, holy, I've never shot up in my life, right? I've done drugs, made stupid decisions. I never stuck a needle in my arm. But you see something like that, and it's like, holy cow, I'm not supposed to be here,
Yeah.
right? So, it was just like it was a wake up call. And I realized quickly that I had to get in line with my walk. It was either I allow this experience to make me better, a better person, a better individual, better person to the community, or on the flip side, I could become a better criminal, right? Because you learn how to manipulate the system much better. So looking around and weighing my options, right? I better figure things out, bro. Right? I better
Mhm.
stop being a piece of crap bottom feeder and not acting like my actions have consequences, and I need to stand up and be a man.
That's that's not incredible. What's the word? Intense, man. That's intense. That's crazy. But what I want to ask you now, man, is You mentioned this vision, right? So you got out, you had a vision. You didn't know how you're going to make it a reality. You were just committed to, right? And you have this that you talk about, which is crafting your vision and building a power team around it, right? So what I want to ask you first is, did you create your vision while in prison, or was that something that you created after getting out? And the second
Good
thing is,
question.
what do you mean by it all? By crafting your vision and building a power team around it?
Yeah. So crafting my vision, I started to craft it, right? It was, I would say it was more crafted around uh, finding myself, finding God, and just getting in alignment with a greater purpose. I didn't know exactly what it was going to be that I'd step into when I got out. I didn't know business would be a thing. I didn't know entrepreneurship would be a thing. Um, when I got out, entrepreneurship found me. Right,
Mm,
I was just working hard, and I was seeking something greater, seeking to build a foundation, seeking to earn an income, where I could have a stable foundation for the future, that maybe one day I could have a family, right? And so when I got out and I was introduced to different vehicles inside of entrepreneurship, real estate was the one that stuck out the most, right? I read the book, read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it just made so much sense, right? Like, hey, if he can do it and he breaks it down in its simplest form, I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be easy, but the concept is simple if I commit to it, right? So I would say discovering like the path on where I'm at now, all of that transpired after I got out, after I was released.
okay. It
And
became
when I
clear,
say,
started to become clear. So you got
yeah,
out with knowing, right? With a sense of knowing that, you know what, this time I'm gonna get out with knowing that I'm meant for more, knowing that I have a purpose, knowing that I'm going to be able to grow and contribute, right? So you got out with that intention, and then you were clear on the what, not so much the how, but the how found you. That's awesome. I love it.
yeah, man. And
So
then
okay.
the part you asked me about cultivating a vision and building power teams, um,
Uh-huh.
I just really realized very early in my journey that if I want to build something significant, I got to build a team. I can't do it on my own, right?
How long did it take you to realize that, man?
I would say a few months in, bro.
Because
It
you
was
said that you had like this I don't know, maybe mindset or personality that you felt like you have to overwork the person on the side, and
Yeah,
you wanted to get to where you wanted to go by working hard. But then you get to a point in entrepreneurship where you realize that it's not all about working really hard, but about working smart, right? And hiring people and
yeah.
leveraging other people's times and money and skills and all of that. So how long did it take you to realize that?
So I was blessed with the opportunity to work alongside and be mentored by some great guys, right? Like my buddy Brett Moreno. He was in real estate. He's moved into more marketing and AI stuff now, but um, Bob Kim, right? Some local folks, and then some people online that I watched from a distance. And as I started to watch these people, right? The cool thing about business is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's already a framework out there, right? There's no
Yeah.
reason for you to just try to go in blindfold and figure it out yourself. And so I was introduced to the power of virtual assistants pretty early in my journey,
Cool.
right? So yeah, I realized that I could hire someone in the Philippines for $4 an hour. And if I taught them how to get on a phone and cold call, some of them already come pre-packaged and know how to do the activity already. All I got to do is buy a list in the location, make sure that I'm pulling the right pain points and distress, that I could dump it into our marketing machine or our dialer, and I could have a cold caller that would make the calls, go through a script and a vetting process, get these motivated home sellers to raise their hands, and then they would dump it into a pipeline, right? Basically giving me an alley hoop where I could make the phone call, build rapport with the person, and close the deal.
Nice. So you started to do this, and so building a team, and so building a team is something that I like. We as a company, right, are getting really really good at. Actually, we have an amazing HR recruiting system. But
Yep.
I'm curious, man, how has yours evolved? Like, how has your process of finding talent, attracting talent, recruiting talent, keeping talent, and then ascending talent, how has that process evolved for you over the years?
That's a good question, man. So when I first hired, it was just find a credible VA that can communicate efficiently and can follow a process, right?
Simple. Yeah.
And for a couple years, man, I wasn't as serious about finding talent. Not that I just let anybody into the business, but like my first 4 or so hires were all virtual assistants, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I took a simple process and what they were doing, and I just duplicated it, right? Okay, if we're calling so many hundreds of numbers a day, if I can double that or triple it, right, we're making more touch points. So as long as they're showing up and making the calls, talent wasn't as important early on. We kept, went through. I hired an acquisitions manager who he had no sales experience whatsoever. I trained him all in house, and he was a rock star, right? He was on point. He was punctual. He was a college athlete, so he already had good work ethic.
Discipline. Yeah.
Yep. And so he showed up, man, and he made it happen. Um, Fast forward the tape to about 2 years ago, where we started to get into more deals and bigger deals, right? Where you're reaching new bottlenecks in your system. And I started to realize some of the talent that I had hired previously no longer performed or fit the roles that I needed them to, right?
Yeah.
And it was then that I found a key point in our organization, probably similar to your HR recruiter, but she's kind of like my executive assistant slash like vision finder or interpreter, where she goes out and finds talent for us based on the needs of the company, right? So she's like the bulldog that's out there, tearing through applications, vetting people, seeking to find the right fit that we can fit into our culture, right? And culture is everything. You got to have a strong vision and a strong company culture in order to clearly display the direction that you're going as a unit, right? But yeah, having a rock star recruiter, man, is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So man, let's go a little bit deeper into that because me, as well as others, hundreds or thousands of millions of people out there who will listen to this podcast or might be on the face of building a team, right? Or they just realize that in order for them to get to where they want to go, it's not going to be done by themselves. They're gonna need help, right? So they realize that they're gonna need a team. They're gonna need to hire, and they started to want to take that seriously. They want to know more about how to do it. I'm doing it right now. I'm really going deep into building um a team of A players, a team of who's, not house, right? A team of people who tell me how to do things instead of the other way around, right?
Yep.
So, and I know you're a team building expert, and you just mentioned something that is incredibly important, which is culture, right? So, like, let me give you an example. I'm all about being modern king, right? About modern king, about having it all, and this is what I live, breathe, eat, and sleep every single day. So, I used to have a smaller team a couple of months ago, and I would coach them, right? Every single week, I would get together with my team members from my company and coach them, and I would coach them on getting every single area of their life on track, right? And on helping them be the best versions that they can be across all areas, not just professionally or financially. And there was a point in which I didn't feel valued, right? I didn't feel like they were taking me seriously, and I was like, I just wanted to. I would pour my heart into developing them as a person, as an employee, as a team member, and I wouldn't get reciprocated. And not that I expect to get anything back from my work, right? But it does feel nice to feel valued, right? And
Yeah.
then and I realized, man, that if you want to build a culture of happy people, you don't recruit sad people and then try to make them become happy, right? If you want to build
Absolutely not.
a culture of happy people, you want to recruit happy people. So in my case, if I wanted to build a culture of modern kings and queens, of people who were driven to become the best that they could be across all areas, especially professionally, I needed to recruit people who were motivated to become the best version of themselves across all areas, especially professionally, right? I wasn't supposed to recruit people who were like mediocre, right, for lack of words, and then try to get them into becoming this modern king or queen identity. And that was a huge shift for me that I realized after also learning about my ideal clients, right? Same thing with your ideal client. The reason that you're supposed to know who your ideal client avatar is so that you can know who your ideal client avatar is. Same thing with your employees. You got to know who you want to work with, right? And you want to know what kind of culture you want to build, and that person that you're trying to recruit must be aligned with that. So, you know, as the expert in team building, could you give me some points on how is it that you build a strong, solid culture, man, in a company, in your team?
Start with your vision plan, man, right? Start with building one, core values. What are your core values? What do you stand for as an organization? And what is the core focus of the company, right? How do you apply those values to the work that you're doing? And those values become your roadmap, right? They're your roadmap. You review them at least every week. You should be looking at them every day, right? But top center of mind, have it hanging at some type of shared Slack channel or a board where all your team has access to it, so that as a unit, you guys can all maintain focus on the direction that you are moving as an organization, right? So that's where it starts. That's where you have the clarity aspect. And then how you actually instill those values and push that culture into your team, man. It's the 80-20 principle, man. And it's a law of leadership, but recognizing, because not everyone's going to be an A player. And even when you go out to recruit A players, not everyone's going to be an A player, right? It's just the fact of the matter. So as a leader, your goal is to pinpoint and pick out the top 20% of your employees. Who are the 20% of people that produce 80% of the results inside of your organization? Who are they?
Okay.
Right? Because they're going to stand out. And it doesn't matter if you go out and you find more talent or better talent. Guess what? 20% is going to rise to the top. And that top 20% is still going to produce 80% of the results. Right? And that principle goes deep. Like
it applies everywhere.
80% of the roads, or 20% of the roads get 80% of the traffic. You go to a party, 20% of the people eat 80% of the food, right? Simple principle, but it's a law of leadership, man, that you can recognize that you got to pour into that 20%, right?
Okay.
And so you pour into them to empower more leaders.
I like that, man. So look, there's this misconception that I just learned about, right? In which, you know, a parent has 3 kids, 4. Let's say it's 4 kids, right? And 3 of them are really good, and one of them is like, you know, going down a bad path.
Yep.
And the parent, what most parents do is pay attention to the bad kid, right? So what does that do? That makes the other 3 kids, right, want to act and go down a bad path because they want the parents' attention. So what should, you know, in my opinion, and I've just been thinking about it, and then I learned this from a very wise mentor that I have. In my opinion, what the parents should actually do is pay even more attention to the 3 kids that are doing good, so that they can motivate, inspire, and bless the one kid that is not doing good to join them. But instead, what most parents do is that they pay attention to the one kid that is doing bad, and then what that does is that makes the other 3 kids want to join him. That's crazy, right?
Dude, I never thought about that side either. But
that's crazy, right?
What you focus on expands.
Exactly.
Right? The things you give energy to are going to grow more exceedingly. That's a good point with a knucklehead kid. Well, if they're getting the attention and your focus is going to the attention, everyone else is going to follow suit, right?
Yeah.
Energy, right? They want to follow. Where's the energy going?
And then what do kids want, man? Attention, right? So if they're like, oh, my brother gets all the fucking attention, the love from my parents, and he's acting really bad, so I might as well start acting bad as well, right? Because like the only thing kids care about is love and attention. So that is the same. So does that same principle you apply it to your team members then? So you figure out who are the 20% of people in your team that are A players that produce 80% of the results, and then you focus on building them, on developing them, on investing on them. And then what would be the next step?
Build them into leaders and then release them. Meaning, like, there's a military term, it's called decentralized command, right? Where you're giving leadership opportunities to people that expressed and displayed leadership potential, right? So you're
Okay.
pulling out the top 20% of your people, you're empowering them, you're instilling your business principles and vision into them, right? And then you're equipping them where they in turn can have a structure or a leadership position on the team, and the rank, it gets passed down, right? Like decentralized command, they got control of the 80% now, right? So
Nice.
you
Okay.
only, and here, the 80% that produces less results, they're usually the ones that are knacking you, right? That are trying to fight for your attention. Hey, what do I do here? Hey, what about this? Hey, you forgot about me in the corner, right?
Yeah.
They're always the ones that are fighting for your attention the most, and that's not where your attention needs to be as a leader, right? Your attention needs to be on what's going to help us to facilitate process and accomplish the result that we're seeking, right? So the best
Okay.
way you accomplish that is you focus on the winners, you focus on the high producers, and you empower them to lead others.
So you give away a little bit of control, right? So now they're running their own structure. And what they apply the same thing. They apply the same 80-20 rule. They look at the 20% of people who are producing 80% of the results under them, and
Yep.
then focus on them. And
Yep.
then what do you do with that? Do you like eventually get rid of them, or yeah, like what do you do with that 80%?
So, like I said, there's always going to be the 80-20, right? No
It's always
matter
going to be so.
how
Okay,
much you
yeah, I
fire
get it.
people and how many new people you bring on board, 20% is going to rise to the top, right? So obviously you need an accountability system. Like there's a system called EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating Systems. Now we're using some aspects of this system. This system is very intricate and takes a couple years to develop, right?
For sure, yeah.
I wish I could say that we're running a tight ship on EOS. We're not, right? We're not
Yeah.
perfect, bro. Like people can come on and talk a big game. You got it all together. Dude, every organization is going to have gaps and issues in the process, right? We're far from perfect. But there is an accountability system through EOS, right? Where you just develop your policy, right? What does that accountability system look like? One mistake, two mistake, three mistake. And after you make the third one, you're out, or whatever that might entail for your way of doing business. But you need to have an accountability structure and a system that can be followed. Because
Mm.
when people have clear direction, right, with what their expectations are, they're going to show up to meet those expectations.
And it's documented, right?
It's documented.
For
If
sure.
as leaders, if we're not communicating that efficiently to the team, we can't point the finger and blame them,
Yeah.
because we're the one that lacks the clarity or the communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not giving them a clear understanding of what their role actually entails and what it should look like. And
Awesome.
dude,
So man, and we've just scratched the surface from like all of the knowledge and experience and wisdom that you actually have and implement in your real estate investing business. But are these some of the things that you cover on the investor syndicate?
yeah, man. So we have several different levels to what our community looks like, right?
Okay.
Our goal is to identify exactly where an individual or real estate investors at, right? Because some people come to us and they're brand new to the industry. They don't know where to start,
Mm-hmm.
right? So our goal is to let's identify where you're at in your personal journey. And based on where you stand, is we figure out how we can place you in the best program to maximize your success, right? So we have an entry level program for investors that just need like the fundamentals. Where do I start? How do I market? How do I talk to sellers? What's a contract, right? Everything in between. We have a higher sale. Our inner circle community is for investors who are already in the game, who are just looking
Okay.
to maximize their profits, right? They're looking to either start closing more deals more consistently, or they're looking to learn how to close bigger deals for higher profits.
That's the like inner circle you said, or how do you call it?
Yep, it's our inner circle.
Okay. And here on this inner circle, is this where you show them the investment system that is focused on partnering with investors?
Yeah, so we over the past several years, we've done a lot of business and traded deals to some of the biggest institutions in the game, right? Wall Street came in the market, especially in the middle of COVID, like 2020 to 2022, when government's just printing money like it's going out of style.
Yeah.
we leveraged these big institutions, right? Because they're paying top dollar for real estate. So
Mhm.
all I had to do was get the buy box, right? That's our blueprint. And then I would train and equip our students on how to go after deals that fit into this blueprint, right? Into the buy box. And so they go out there, they go hunt down opportunities, and then they would submit them to us in the system so that we could put them into the hedge fund buy box, submit it into the portal, and we'd get these offers coming through, right? Now, obviously, the market has shifted since then. We're in a whole different real estate climate, and hedge funds are still buying, just not as competitive as they were a year ago,
So
right?
you would sell to hedge funds then?
A lot of our business over the past several years was literally day trading real estate to hedge funds.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. So you would sell hedge funds at top dollar because hedge funds are dealing with, you know, millions, if not billions of dollars, right? In
Billions
their
of
funds.
dollars. Yeah.
And and this is a very interesting model. So the people that came into your program so that you could teach them how to do this business, they were like your army of people who were finding deals.
Correct. Yep.
Damn. And so the partner was you and them.
Yep.
They found the deal, they brought the deal, and then you pushed it across the finish line. And then
Exactly.
awesome, man. So then so what is so that you have this thing called the nationwide hedge fund buyers network. What is that, man? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
That's where we're literally just leveraging the big institutional relationships that we have, right? Wall Street hedge funds, private equity
So
groups.
you have a network of a bunch of people that own hedge funds. That's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And so we just leverage that capital in that buy box, right? Where our students help to find deals that fit inside of that. Now we have started to make a pivot, right? Ever since the market shifted, literally about a year ago today, right? What was it? May, May or June of last year,
Mm-hmm.
when the Fed hiked rates, it pushed us into bigger deals, right? So it pushed us into multifamily real estate and it pushed us into land development.
Okay.
So you can, I quickly learned, I'm like, holy cow, like we're making a lot of money day trading real estate to these big groups, but it's a lot of work, right? And where
Yeah, yeah.
10 to $20,000 profit was once like a lot of money,
It's not
right?
anymore, huh?
Yeah, it's not, especially inflation and everything else, right? I realized we can take this same process, and if we could find a tract of land, say you find a 20 to 100 acre tract that is suitable for development, right? It's in the path
Mm-hmm.
of progress. We have access to utilities, topography looks good. We can lock this thing up and partner with a developer. Instead of
Yeah.
making 10, 20, $40,000 assignments, we can make seven figures in one deal.
Yeah. And then so okay, so you would let's say you found the land, you partner with a developer, and then who would give you the money? The hedge fund? Like your network of people who own hedge funds?
So in this case, we're not dealing with as many hedge funds. We do have some hedge funds that are in the BTR space, right? Build to rent,
Okay.
which is big. That's going to be a really big industry coming up
For sure,
in the
yeah.
next several years, right? That'd be so I could go down a rabbit hole talking about that whole model. But
Yeah.
right now, at the moment, because the BTR space is still, it's fairly new. There's players that are moving in there and establishing their buy boxes. But right now, our infrastructure, we've had the best luck partnering up with uh, local and regional home builders and developers,
All
right?
right.
So we find the land. I already have an idea based on where it's at. All right, how many home sites can we fit per acre,
Mm-hmm.
right? What does it take to get it shovel ready? What is the equation? It's going to be a little bit different per county. But based on where it's at, you mentioned who, not how. I run my business off the who, not how principle, right? If I can secure a deal, and I don't even have to find the deal if one of my partners can
Yeah, that's
find it,
crazy.
right, and bring it to us,
Uh-huh.
then we just have to align with the right folks. So I'm constantly reaching up. How can we develop strategic relationships with people that are doing the game at a higher level than us? And so the goal of Investor Syndicate, man, and it's a long ways from being fully formed. Vision is still unfolding every single day, but it's to be a investment hub and a distribution network where multifamily, we have experts, we have land development experts, we have wholesaling experts, single family experts. where no matter what piece of the equation we're gearing towards, my goal is to have strategic partnerships built on the who not how model, that any type of deal that makes sense, we have the ability to facilitate it through our network. In its simplest form, that I would say that's the essence of what we're doing. Looks like we lost you, bro.
Yeah, here I am. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay, awesome. So I don't know what's happening to my tech, man, but okay. So that sounds awesome, man. That sounds great. It sounds like you're building an amazing network to be able to get any deal as big as it could be, done with the right people in place. So
That's the goal.
yeah, and I really like that, how you say that, your vision is it's unfolding even more and more, as you go through your day to day. So yeah, that's great, man. So let's see. Man, I think you have a podcast, right? Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay. I think it's a real estate investing podcast, MBMNT, something like that.
No. So we have a podcast. I haven't been as consistent with recording the episodes lately. MBMT, maybe that's another podcast I was on.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. So you do have a podcast. What is it about, man?
Yeah, I'm somewhat like unbranded with it. I just call it the Investor Syndicate Podcast, right, for now. But we bring on entrepreneurs and real estate investors.
Okay, cool. Awesome, man.
Changing the game. Yeah, man.
So we do have a couple of minutes, man, and I like to end my interviews asking a couple of questions. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask the first one. All right.
Let's hear it.
So the first one is, so you deal with a lot of beginners, right? A lot of people come to you for coaching to teach them how to invest in real estate. So what is like one of the main limiting beliefs that holds people back from going all in and being successful in real estate?
Not having enough money, right? I don't have enough money.
Yeah.
People, there's always going to be an excuse, right? But usually it's money and time.
Yeah.
You're either working a 9-to-5 job and you don't think you have enough hours in the day to commit to a side hustle, right? Which if you don't want it that bad, then might as well just stay comfortable at a 9-to-5, right? Because it is going to take grit. It is going to take tenacity. You have to have a spirit of persistence to not give up along the journey. And then money should never be an issue, right? We've been ingrained in our minds. I don't know if it's the way that we're brought up with our family or the traditional education system, but we're taught that you need money to start a new endeavor, that you need money to get into real estate.
Yeah.
And while a lot of that is true, right? Meaning you need to be able to align with money, you don't necessarily need to have it in your bank account, right? If you can be the source of a deal and you can find a true opportunity, then the money will always follow. Money will always align with opportunity, right? So instead of getting caught up in well, I don't have any money, where do I start? Well, man, go drive down the street and look for a beat up house. And you can get in touch with the homeowner, right? Or the apartment owner, or whatever the case might be. Have a good quality conversation with them. And if they're interested in selling, all you got to do is align with the right people, right? So going back to the way that you opened up the podcast, how a lot of what you do is built on networking. Your network is your net worth, right? It really is, man. So by surrounding yourself with people who are playing the game at higher levels than yourself, right, that have skill sets different than your own, then you can literally build a powerhouse team just based on your contacts. And so instead of stepping into life with limiting beliefs that will never measure up, or we got no money, or whatever the case might be, you just have to convince yourself that it's true, right? You have to convince yourself that you deserve wealth.
For sure. Yeah, man. So that's awesome. So the next question, man, is, on the other hand, what is an empowering belief that you see people who win at the real estate investing game have?
I would say most of them have faith, right? Most of them are men and women of faith. They believe in either a mission or a power greater than themselves. And I'd say a belief is an unrelenting commitment to never give up, right? Like they believe that anything is possible of attaining as long as they're willing to stay in the game long enough. Because
Totally.
we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to fall short. There's going to be days where it's painful to get out of bed, right? Because you're stressing about making payroll, or you're stressing about, right? There's always going to be ups and downs. I call it the entrepreneur roller coaster, right? But it's a series and a journey of ups and downs, and learning to ride those seasons. It's not for the faint in heart, right? So you got to make a commitment to yourself to never give up. And as long as you make that commitment, right, and you keep on getting up every time, anything is possible, right? It's success within your grasp.
Awesome. The last question is, so we've this has come up a bit of times here on this podcast. Relationships and networking is key, right? That's literally how your whole property funding, acquisition funding system goes, right? With networking and relationships. So what is a successful strategy to network and build relationships for you? Like, what would you say? What advice would you give so that anyone out there listening can have a successful strategy to build a network and relationships?
That's a good question, man. I would say utilize the power of social media.
Okay.
Social media is one of the most powerful tools that we have at our disposal, but it can also be an enemy of your productivity, right? So instead of approaching social media as a consumer, right, where we pick up our phone and we just scroll through Facebook, chasing likes, chasing reactions, comments, right? Dopamine hits in our mind. Figure out how can you contribute, right? How can you document your process and help add value to other people? And even if you don't feel like you're in the game already, you're just starting out, you don't have any credibility or testimonials to share, document the process, right? People are genuinely interested in what you're doing. And if you just share your journey with them, you'd be surprised at how many people are willing to help.
Yeah.
And over time, those activities compound, right? They stack on top of one another. 2 years from now, right? You got 2, 3, 5,000 people following you that enjoy your content. You've grown as an individual because you started off being scared to talk on camera or to even put up a post. And now it's become a daily habit and routine. It's free marketing, right? You can get your message out there to the world by simply contributing to that process.
That's awesome, man. That was beautiful. So, Ben, I've really enjoyed this episode, man. I had a lot of fun. Thank you very much for all of the wisdom that you shared. If anyone out there was like, damn, this guy dropped some bombs and they want to learn more about you, they want to connect with you in some way, where would be the best place for them to do that?
Yeah. So Ben Lovro on all channels. You can go to benlovro.com, right? Go on Google, benlovro.com, check out my personal website. And then depending on what stage you're at in your journey, you can figure out how to tune in from there, or just find me on social media. Always here to help.
Awesome, man. So we'll have I didn't get to ask about it, but we'll have your 3-day deal making mastery challenge down below for anyone out there who wants to learn how to make deals in a 3-day challenge. And then we'll have all of the social media down wherever this the description, wherever this appears. So it was a pleasure, Ben. Thank you very much, man. And I'll see you later. Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks a bunch, Alex. I enjoyed it, bro.
Thank you for listening to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. We want you to know that we love and appreciate you, and we're super grateful about being part of your journey of becoming a successful real estate entrepreneur and having it all. Please share this episode with a friend who you think will be impacted positively. Send it to someone who you know is interested in real estate and dreams of having it all and being the best they can be across all areas. And if you thought this episode was really valuable, share it on your social media as a post or a story. We have a special gift for all of those who contribute to the Modern Kings and Queens movement. So for those of you who decided to share this episode and help us spread our message, send me a message letting me know on any social media platform at Alex Ramirez, the Modern King. I have a special surprise for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.